Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of What a Week. And this is a little bit different this time on What a Week because I am joined today by a new co-host. My name, of course, James Messer and What a Week. And another co-host that I have, Judy Messer, is joining me to also add some new things to What a Week, since she is basically, you're pretty much involved in the show prep anyway. Effectively.
The behind the scenes.
Yes. I run everything by you and say, am I crazy? Is this really something I should be doing? And you say yes, or you say no. I say yes, dear. We go to the next thing. So we've put together a number of different stories, a number of different things that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to go through a few of them I have set aside, a few of them you've set aside, and we're just going to step through few of the interesting things we've seen this week. So we've got a number of things happening here in Messer Studios today. There's a Network Plus study group because this is on Saturday, December the 17th. So we've got quite a bit going. So we're up against a lot of different things today. And I think that's good. I like it when we do a lot of live things in the studio. And I like that you're joining me for a live thing in the
Yeah, it's
studio.
kind of exciting. I like it too.
It's kind of exciting. We've been moving around lights and cameras and trying to make things work, and I'm not sure that we've quite figured it out yet. We're getting there.
We're going to go with it.
We're going to go with it. We're just everybody smile and say hi, and we'll see what's there. Now, it's been a relatively busy week around here, though, and I know you've got something that you set aside for us to kind of start with, because you have been working a little bit on cooking things. And this obviously is something that is near and dear to my heart. But you have been doing some things around here as well.
I have.
Yes.
Well, you know that I love to cook.
And I have no problem with that.
I love to cook, but I'm not a baker. Bakers are different than cooks. They're very exacting, and they're big on measuring.
Cooks don't measure?
No, we don't measure. I'm very haphazard. I just throw it in. Just throw it in the pot, see what happens.
That seems to be working okay when you do that.
Yeah, you just sort of go by feel, but you can't do that when you're baking, or stuff's going to be uneven, it won't rise, it won't taste right, it won't be good at all.
It's all too scientific for me. This is why I don't do it.
So, however, we love bread. We love to eat bread.
I do.
Who doesn't like bread? And I heard about this book called My Bread. It's from Jim LaHaye. Mm-hmm. And it was how to make your own bread at home, which I have tried to make my own bread at home, and it's never good. It doesn't come out right. It tastes nothing like what you would get in the store. So I heard through the grapevine this was a fantastic book, and you actually could make bread at home. So I bought this great big covered pot. It's a clay, like a enameled pot.
And I don't have a picture of the pot, but I have a picture of the bread in the pot. So there's the picture of the pot, which you can't see.
Which I can't see, but I'll take your word that you're putting it up.
This is our fine engineering that I've done here.
So there it is. There's my pot.
Exactly.
So it's this Emile Henry pot that I got. And when I bought the pot from Amazon, everybody was talking about this book. If you buy the pot, you should buy the book. You know how they give you those little suggestions. So I thought, I've heard about this book now from so many places, I should just jump in and get it. So I got the book, I got the pot. The bread is amazing.
Well, yes, as you can see.
I cannot believe it was that easy. It was 4 little ingredients, not too much measuring. You just put it together, you barely mix it, and then you ignore it for like 18 hours. You don't do anything with it. You just let it sit there covered, doing its little thing. And then when it's time, you mix it up a little bit more, put it in this pot and cook it. That is really my bread. I'm not kidding. I didn't buy that from a store. It's not fake bread. That is really what my bread looked like. It was incredible, wasn't it?
It was incredible. I mean, it was like we went to and bought a fancy loaf of bread and brought it home, and we didn't have to. It's right.
And I'm not a baker. I'm really not a baker.
That's what I hear.
I cannot believe that I made that. And it was really cool. So if you know somebody who likes to cook, but be very careful. I want to be very careful here. I am not saying that you should buy your wife a book on how to make bread.
That's probably not a good idea, is it?
I don't think you should do that.
Don't
I think
you
could give her that book with something else, something that's kind of sparkly and fabulous,
right?
Along with the bread book. But if you have a mom, a sister, a friend, It's a gorgeous book. It was so easy to use. I mean, I found the recipe very easy to follow, and it was delicious. Loved it.
And if you want to see what book that is, I made a link, whataweekpodcast.com/bread. Will not only take you to the link on Amazon, but if you buy it on that link of Amazon, it actually goes to help support the podcast as well. So,
and it really was good. And I didn't use anything crazy. I think I used King Arthur bread flour, which you can get anywhere. Regular old yeast, water and salt. That was it.
That was it.
Table salt. Simple, simple, simple. And it was amazing. I mean, you could even bake bread and give it to somebody.
Well, not me.
You wouldn't give it
Somebody
away?
could.
You're keeping it?
No, I'm not baking the bread.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, don't give away my bread.
No.
Don't give that to people. Give them the book.
I imagine there are certain people that book would be very nice for. I would not be one of those people. So
You're neither a cook nor a baker.
nor a baker. Okay. None of those things. In fact, this week I received something that was supposed to be nice, but it was not that nice. I received something in the mail. You have not seen this yet. I've been keeping this from you. This is something I got. It was a letter I got from Delta, and that was actually a letter that was written. And here, you can hold this while I'm reading this. It says, this was handwritten from Delta.
It really is.
It is. Just wanted to let you know that you are appreciated. Your loyalty to Delta in 2011 has been recognized by the entire Tallahassee team. Thank you. Best wishes during your holiday season, Team TLH.
So and this really is written. This isn't like fakey computer.
No, somebody sat down and wrote this out and sent it to me in the expectation that I would be so pleased at receiving.
Did you get something? Did you get like
letter.
a drink coupon with
No,
it?
I didn't get no drink coupons.
Some chocolate?
Nothing. No chocolate. Nope. Didn't get any of that.
Were you sort of like digging in the envelope? Like,
where's
the rest of it? Where's my voucher?
And for those of you that kind of have not followed along with what I do and where I go, I travel quite a bit. I'm on a plane every week. I did 4 segments last week. I'm a Delta Million Miler. I just fly a lot, not because I really, really want to fly a lot, but because that's what I do. I fly a lot. So it's interesting because I've received these in the past where I stayed at a certain hotel a lot. At the end of the year, the entire staff of the hotel sent me a card that
we miss you.
That said, boy,
we miss your weekly visit.
How's the family? How's Uncle Herman? They went through the whole thing. So this is another one of these things that you get in the mail that I'm not so sure I should be really.
And you're like, I don't know if I feel good that the people at the airport know me this well.
That's exactly correct. I don't know if that's where I really wanted to be with this, but that's what I got in the mail. So happy holidays to me.
Well, like your mother said, it's the thought that counts.
It is the thought that counts.
They thought of you.
I guess.
Which is, I mean, it is a nice gesture.
It is.
And flying is not fun
Flying
these
is
days.
Flying is so not fun these days. You get to hear all the horror stories, of course, because I text you when I'm sitting on the plane next to the person who really does not smell very good and tell you about just how bad that all turns out. So it's one of those odd situations of I'm sure they do appreciate me being there. I just don't know if I appreciate it back.
Just a little deodorant.
Just a little bit. Just a pinch.
It makes it so nice.
So nice. So true. So let's hop into the stories for this week. We've got quite a few to go through that we've chosen, picked from exactly what was out there during the week, and pulled a few in that perhaps weren't the mainstream stories, but they were certainly stories that caught my eye. We'll see if it could catch yours as well. This is one from the Cleveland, Ohio area, and I picked this one out kind of for you, really, because this one was about Target. And so, so I should be getting a card from Target saying, "We appreciate you."
No, they'll send it to me. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for keeping our stock up.
This is a situation where there's a teacher that every year around the holidays, she gets together her middle school class and she puts together has her class break up into groups, and they are purchasing from this amount of money that I'm not sure if they raised this during the year or if it's donated, but they have an amount of money. And over the past 5 years, they've had about $12,000 that they've been able to spend during that time.
These are
at
high
Target.
school students.
These are middle school students.
Oh, okay.
So they are in a class and they're broken into groups and they're given a certain amount of money and they're buying gifts for children that are needy. It was a particular organization. In fact, I have the website up here in Mayfield Heights.
What a great thing to do.
It is. It's not only something that's for the abused and neglected children at a place called Providence House. And one of the things that was nice about this is not only is it something that they do during the holiday, but it's an educational experience. They have a certain amount of money, so what they end up doing is trying to figure out how many things can they buy and of what type. So there's a budgeting process involved. There's them trying to figure out the best way to go about what they should purchase. And what they do is go into Target. There's 5 of them at a time that go in, and they purchase their things and they're out. They go in at like 8:30 in the morning. They're done by 11. It's really not a big deal. So every year, the instructor calls over and says, here's what we're doing. We're going to be in Target. Just want to let you know, we're coming again this year for, I guess, year number 6.
She lets them know because it's a bunch of kids.
Because it's, kids rolling up in a bus probably, and there's 20 of them or 30 of them, and you just want to let somebody know they're coming in. That this is not the normal group of 20 or 30 kids coming in to create havoc. They actually have a process.
Right.
They're getting graded.
They're not going to be running amok among the store aisles.
And they do it 5 at a time to exactly prevent that happening. So they called in the poor Target. The Target. This is one of those things. It's the holidays. Here is the opportunity for doing good.
Yeah.
It is all the right things. And this year, the Target manager said, "Oh no, we really don't want you here.
What?
We don't want you to actually be in our store. We can't handle the kids. It's not something we want to do." I guess there was reasons behind that.
He can handle 5 kids at a time.
Please come to my house. The kids and the dogs and
amateur.
Has no idea what's going on.
What was his reason? Why couldn't the store handle it?
Well, the reason was a bit vague. It was a bit convoluted, but the ultimate reality was, no, you may not come. They said, no, you may not be here. Well, obviously, this is not the time of year when the folks at Target need to get bad press. So immediately, poor marketing people at Target Corporate, which I think is in Minnesota somewhere, they immediately went into overdrive to try to do damage control on this. Interestingly enough, the people in Arkansas went into overdrive as well because the Walmart marketing team said, "Oh, we'll take you. Come on over to Walmart. In fact, we're going to give you another $250.
Bring all your kids.
We're going to throw more money on top of it. Whether you come here or not, we're going to throw more money in because we think it's a great thing you should be doing."
Ow! What was Target thinking?
Oh, they weren't, and they ultimately Target came back and said, "We're really, really." This is the end of the story. The rest of the story is Target came back and said, "We're really, really, boy, are we sorry." Yeah. Boy, are we sorry. Please come. And they ended up going to Target.
Because it's not like it's a store policy. I think it was just that manager making that decision right then.
Yeah. And they probably have this. They probably had problems in the past with kids coming into the store and doing things they shouldn't be doing. But it's the teacher calling.
Yeah. You think if the teacher calls specifically saying, we're coming.
Wasn't quite exactly how that went down. So I thought of all of the good
Dexter,
cheer.
they'll be out there with the bells. Come on in. Come on in.
They'd better.
Yeah.
After this week. So of all the good cheer and the things that go on during the holiday season, I thought the poor marketing teams that thought they're worried enough about getting their story online and the advertising, and this is their year. The people who are in the technology department, by the way, in all of these organizations, stop working at about just before Thanksgiving. Nothing changes in technology between now and New Year's. You can't touch it. This is the time of the year they make their money. Don't touch it.
Yeah, it just stays like it is.
Nobody, in fact, you can't go in the room where all of the equipment is. You are not allowed in. Don't go in there.
Don't touch my money.
Don't touch anything. So they want everything to run perfectly. And after all that, you've now got the advertising. You've got it all go. This is what happens. So
I'm glad they made it right, though.
Glad they made it right.
Thank goodness, because now I can go back to Target.
Now we'd have had to have a conversation.
I know. It would have been like, no.
Our next story, and I liked this one because this is Star Trek. This story. This is someone who's put together 24 hours of Star Trek: The Next Generation ambient noise. This is a nice one to have there. Here, I've got too many things on my screen here. Ambient noise of Star Trek: The Next Generation. What I find interesting about this one, though, is that let me pull up my Next Generation noises and have them here. They put together 24 hours of Next Generation noise, and I thought I can handle a little bit of next generation noise, but really 24 hours. So this sounds like this. There we go. So I was thinking,
What is that? It's like a hum.
we're on the bridge. We're on the bridge. We're on, make it so.
I'm on the ship.
You're on the ship. So we're now having a podcast of,
We should just pipe that through the house. Wouldn't that be fun?
no. I'm thinking it's a good thing that they don't do this live when they are actually recording the show. Otherwise, after a day of this,
You'd be going cuckoo.
crazy.
Oh no, it's sort of calming. Do you remember? I don't even know if they still make these, but they used to have those little things that you put next to your bed, and it plays different noises.
Oh, yes.
Like you could dial it to say crickets or
a rainstorm.
right.
A beach.
You could have
the
one
waves on
for
the
Star
beach.
Trek. Let me just dial in the Star Trek, and then you could go to sleep.
Well, you could, because this is 24 hours long, this video on YouTube. It's on
Somebody
YouTube.
actually just sat and did this.
Sure. Why not? So we're just
Wow,
gonna sit
that's
here
a lot of time.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of time.
Let's take a moment. Think about. Let's turn down.
We appreciate the effort. It's cool.
Let's turn down the bridge a little bit. I think we're kind of done with Star Trek, The Next Generation's bridge.
At your next party, you don't need that nice music. Just play the Star Trek engine in the background.
That's right. Why do I find these things? They amuse me, so I put them on the podcast. So we go with
Anything
that.
involving Star Trek is cool.
Now I want to ask you some technical questions.
Don't do that.
You are the only person.
And then I'm going to ask you about cooking or shoes.
You already did. We already did that story. So now
Okay.
we do this story. But you are the only person in this house that has a Kindle Fire. You got the Kindle Fire immediately when it came out. The first day we were ordering. Actually, I pre-ordered a Kindle Fire because you've used Kindle for a while.
Love my Kindle. Yeah.
The older style Kindles with the black and white display, and we got a Kindle Fire for you. Well, the reviews of the Kindle Fire, some of them have been good, but some have been horrible.
You know, I saw that. I
Some
saw
have been
some of those, and I was
awful.
shocked.
People hate the Kindle Fire. And I mean, the people don't like it. It's not that they don't like it; they really don't like it.
Yes, it's been bad.
Now-
Some of the reviews I have read have been very bad, and I don't understand that.
I've
I
looked at-
love my Kindle Fire.
Your Kindle Fire seemed to be. I've used a little bit. It seemed to be working fine.
I love it. It's easy to use, and I'm not a technical person. I'm not good with gadgets.
What?
I sort of avoid it for a long, long time, but then when it comes to me, I love it.
Right?
And I love the Kindle Fire. It's easy to use. It's easy to see. I love it.
I was watching.
It's gorgeous.
Watching one of the biggest peeves that people have is the power button is on the bottom, and unlike the old version where you had a slider,
Right.
It's a button, and it's too easy to hit on the bottom of where it is.
I have not had a problem with that.
Well, as Molly Wood at CNET showed yesterday, since the screen rotates, how about you just turn it
just-
around so the button's on the top?
Ew.
I thought,
Whoever wrote that review was kind of like, I knew that. I was just saying that.
well, some of the reviews were right on. I read some of these. This one is, in fact, is from Marco Arment or Arment. He's the guy that created Instapaper, which I talked about in a previous What a Week podcast. And he went through a review of it. And, some of the things he said were absolutely true. But they approached this review from somebody who is very, very technical, who wants it to be perfect. In fact, many times people are making comparisons of this to the iPad, and it's not
Okay.
really an iPad product. It's not the same thing as an iPad. It's something that's different. And it was one that I looked at that was a little bit nicer was one from useit.com. This is one that, let me get my head out of the way so you can see the full URL there, useit.com/alertbox/Kindle Fire usability. This is someone that does usability testing. That's what they do, is go through and find everything associated with that. And I think I have that usability URL up, where he goes through how big things are on the screen and can your big fat finger click it. In certain parts of different programs, they don't have a home key and they should have a home key. So he went through and really to a lot of detail into what's going on. After reading this, I thought, how can anybody even use this technology? This must be horrible
This is the hardest
to actually
thing that's ever
use.
been
Why would
invented.
anybody ever want this? But you're not. I don't hear a lot of complaints. And you believe me, if something doesn't work right,
You'll hear about
I'll
it. You'll
know.
hear about it.
I'll know what's going on.
I found it really easy to use. Now, I think with any of those little touch screens, there's kind of a knack to it.
Right.
Because I have found that with my iPhone too. And you just get used to, you have to touch in a certain place, which I don't find that to be difficult or a big deal.
Right.
And I think it's easy to use. I like your iPad.
Right.
I had a little envy,
Well,
which doesn't usually happen over
over a piece
technological
of technology.
gadgets. But I did find it kind of heavy if you were going to sit in bed and really read or shop for shoes. But the Kindle Fire is light. It's really lightweight. You can just sit there and read and read and read. It's not heavy.
I can't do that with my iPad.
No, right. Because after a while, or if you're by the pool, it's just a nice lightweight little thing to stick in your bag.
Some of these reviews that I read, and this is a really good example of one. I'm going to zoom up on this particular page because they say things like this, and this is a red flag to me where I'm trying to figure out at this point, are they just wanting press? Are they just wanting eyeballs on their website? 'Cause
Right, are they just griping to gripe?
the magazine reading experience could be good, but it actually is miserable. So you use words like miserable in your review, and I call shenanigans on you at trying to get somebody to read your stuff.
Magazines, that was one of the big reasons why I got the Kindle. I love my magazines and I keep them.
Right.
But, after a while, you're like awash in magazines. They're stacking up all over the place. So with the Kindle Fire, you can just load them on there, which I did. The first night I got
magazines. Boom.
it was like
First thing.
Lucky Magazine went on there. And I loved it. I loved it. And you can zoom in on things. It was awesome. I thought it was great.
No, it's miserable. The guy clearly said, this is the problem I kind of have about something that is incredibly popular. Is it becomes harder and harder to know what to read.
I think he was grouchy.
Well,
I think he was in a bad place when he reviewed
the
it.
problem is that there are a group of people, primarily analysts or people that would like to make a name for themselves, that when something comes out and is very popular or is well received, they intentionally take a very, very negative view of it in order to get press.
To get press.
Because unfortunately,
this guy hated it.
for some reason in our country, in the United States, and probably in other places around the world, there's this big need to get both sides of the story, whether there are both sides or not.
Right.
You know, there's certain things. The sun is exploding. Let's talk to people who don't believe the sun is exploding.
Right.
And you see it all the time. No, there was no moon landings. That's not both sides of the story. There's someone who is scientific in the moon landing and another person who's just absolutely nuts. So there's this difference. Well, they play on that. They play on this media's need to be able to tell the other side of the story. And jump on top of it. And unfortunately, this particular review actually has some very good things to say. And he's very correct about different pieces of it. And I understand this is not a technical scientific review. He really is putting his own opinion into it because that's what he does. It just makes it very hard for me to be able to trust any of that's there.
Well, I think he's coming at it too from a different perspective. I feel like I'm just an everyday user.
Right.
And for me, it's been a great experience. And I look for certain things. I want it to be easy to use. I don't like things that are so complicated that I have to constantly be reading the book or coming to you and asking you how to do this.
Yep.
And it's portable.
This is, and of course, when I'm reading Lucky Magazine, I want something that's it's easy for me to read. So and in fact, we kind of like the Kindle so much. We even have, there's other people in our family that will be getting Kindle Fires for Christmas. So that's an interesting one. Now, the other story I found this week, or another story that I found this week, was one I saw on Slashdot. Let me move my head out of the way so you can see this whole story. Science.slashdot.org story, and you can see it's just search for Isaac Newton's notes digitized. This is something that has happened at the University of Cambridge, or excuse me, Cambridge University in the UK. They've taken Isaac Newton's notes and they have digitized them. They put them all online. Now, this is both interesting to me and it is frightening to me because the last thing I want is for my written notes to be put online.
Your musings.
They're not really the best, the easiest things to look at, but it's a really nice interface. I have it right here where I've gone into, here's the front page of the book. I know you can't.
Were these actual things that he had written, or
These-
were they
this is-
just
this
notes
is
from
his notebook.
experiments?
So he's got a lot of different books here. I just drilled down into his Trinity College notebook. And let's go to page 55. So there'll be something on it. Boy, you really don't want my notes from college. But here are his. And you can drill down into it. You can get look at that.
This is his actual writing.
This is his actual writings right here,
Wow.
digitized and put online. Quite remarkable. Now, I don't understand a bit of it.
I was going to say.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Here's this already says right angles. Nope, I'm already out of. Forget it.
I'm done.
Take
I'm
care.
done with that.
Drive safely, everybody. But it's so interesting to see because they have not just one book; they have many, many books of his online, and now they're just available. Anybody in the world.
So
can access these
how do they
writings.
have his writings? Do they own it?
They own his books, but
their
his
property.
books themselves, I think, are public domain. You
Okay.
can go into the library and read his books, or at least see it. They've now taken pictures of that, and they've done some transcripts of a number of pages as well, so that you can not only
That's
see the
pretty
writing,
amazing.
but you don't have to figure out what is that word right here. I have no idea what that odd word is, and they've picked out what the word is, and they've written it all down and typed it out, so it's searchable as well. So I thought that was a very interesting way to use the internet, a very interesting way to use this technology. It's a technology 10 years ago we could not have done because of the
Absolutely.
need to be that specific and that tight with the megapixels and having it all online and the total amount of storage. Just constantly surprising me on what we're able to do with this
Absolutely.
technology and take advantage of it, especially from an educational perspective. And I just thought that was a really neat story.
But don't you think that's the beauty of the internet?
That is exactly why the internet exists for me.
Everything is at your fingertips.
And even more so.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So I'm looking around for my notes from college.
You're going to put those on.
They've got to be around here somewhere because I keep everything, it seems. So they're in a box. They're in the garage on a shelf. I'm almost certain.
You do keep everything.
I'll find
and
them
someday,
somewhere.
in hundreds of years,
Yes.
the university will put them
They
online.
will. Cambridge, Florida State University in Tallahassee will have online the musings, the writings.
musings of the professor.
How scary is that? Absolutely frightening is that on that view. The next story we have is something I obviously can't. I'm having problems getting onto the screen. There we go. So the last story I found for today is a bit of a website that's a tad bit on the guy side. They tend to be a little leaning towards guys. This is a website called Guy Speed, and they have
Guy speak.
it's one of these sites that says the guy humor. They have guy toys. There's a link for babes. So I can't necessarily say that this is
I
exactly.
have never been to this
You haven't?
website.
You've never been to Guy Speed? Not exactly a site I hang out on, but they have a list of the top 10 things for Christmas that you buy for your kids, but they're really for yourself.
Oh, I want to hear this.
Okay, so we can go through.
Have you ever done that?
Have I ever
I have done that a little bit.
I do that.
My daughter and I wear the same shoe size. So it's like, honey, look at these gorgeous boots that I got for you.
And they
And
somehow manage to get mine is the same type of thing except deals primarily with Xbox. The Xbox
Okay.
360. So I of course bought my kids Halo Reach because I felt it was very important for them their
For the
hand
children.
hand-eye coordination. It's
Absolutely.
incredibly important.
You're such
So
a good parent.
I am. So I'm happy to know that I'm at least working on my hand-eye coordination, and I've learned that I don't have any. The first one, there, number 10, is Angry Birds, but it's a real life Angry Birds that actually there's
What do you mean?
there's legitimately, and here's the picture of the guy with the real life
minute.
Angry Birds set.
You put the bird
Yes.
in there and
In there,
fling
yep.
it at something?
and you fling it. You're built. Look at the pigs. There's the pigs.
Are
and
you kidding me?
You fling it at the pigs.
No.
Now, I can't even believe I would buy that for myself.
No.
But I
That
think
is not the same.
it's not the same. So it was a bad number 10, but it's interesting that,
I'm
that
thinking about how my dog would eat all those little bitty pieces.
in a moment, in a second,
Delicious.
they would be gone. So that doesn't work so well. So we've now got number 9 is the I Am T-Pain microphone.
Oh, no, that could be fun.
Well, it could be, but that was like this. That was the thing you were supposed to have, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, that's true. That's a little I'm
played
surprised
out.
that came up on the list this year.
A little played out. All right, we're skipping ahead because this is all nonsense. We're going to number 3 is actually something that I'm not so sure is for the parents. Maybe it is. It's the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword Gold Remote Bundle. And as you recall, the Gold Remote Bundle is kind of a big deal in our house.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we got the Gold Remote Bundle here. That was very, very important. It was hard to find the Gold Remote Bundle. So
That
I don't
was
know.
a big deal.
I guess that could qualify number 3. Number 2, the Mega Bloks Halo 10th Anniversary Edition of the UNSC Warthog.
This is definitely not my
What are
website.
you talking about? This is exactly what we're doing here. Now, that's not bad. And number 1, the Hot Wheel Wall Tracks Starter Kit.
Now, what is that?
You instead of having your Hot Wheels, you can't see it, so I'll slide this over. Instead of having your Hot Wheels on the floor, it's on the wall. And what parent doesn't want to have kids putting stuff on the wall?
Oh, man.
That is an excellent gift.
Can you see that that going bad?
That's not going to cause any problems at all. Now it comes with the Hot Wheels Wall Tracks Spackle Kit.
I was going to say, why don't you just give them a Sharpie marker? Here you go, honey. Just go on it.
Just knock it out.
Have fun.
We will not be getting the Hot Wheel Wall Track starter set.
Hot Wheels are kind of fun, though.
They
Those
are,
cool.
but not on my wall.
No.
Not a good idea. I'm
I'm
not sure.
thinking not.
Somebody came up with that one. And to me, it's more interesting to me. What did they do? They had to put something together so you wouldn't damage the wall. I just can't imagine that works.
Can you imagine that marketing room? You know why? Because it was all men. There were no mothers in that room.
It's all guys.
I have a great idea.
It'll
Let's
stick
stick
on the
this
wall.
on the wall. If there had been a mother, she'd be like, don't do that. You'll get it dirty.
Put it on the ceiling. It'll be great.
Right.
You'll love it. What's the problem? I don't understand. Well, that is my final list of things for our What a Week podcast for this week. If people would like to know more about What a Week podcast, ideally, as you can see, you would go to the whataweekpodcast.com website. But if you try to do that, you'll notice it's not there yet. But hopefully by the time you see this in the recording, I'll have things up and running. If you want to Twitter us, I managed to get a Twitter account. What a Week was taken.
It's called What Week?
That's what I came up with. What Week podcast is too big.
It's a low budget show. We
It's low-
couldn't afford the A.
It's an A. We left off the A for savings. So it's What Week to be able to do that. Or you could just email me directly, James at whataweekpodcast.com, and I'll create a Judy at whataweekpodcast.com. So
Cool. Thank you.
So you're very welcome. Get that to you as well. Well, that covers all of the stories that we have in this episode. Anything else before we close out? I think we've covered, once we go through the bread and looking at the Star Trek, and we've now put our Hot Wheels on the wall, we've covered the bases.
I do have one parting thing to say.
Okay.
Kind of revisiting what we talked about at the very beginning
Yes.
about wives and Christmas. Don't stress about it. It's very easy. I have one word for you.
Yes.
Jewelry.
Jewelry. Now, can I go wrong with jewelry? Is there any bad jewelry I can
The
get?
ultimate, if you really, really, really want to do it up, you got to go to Tiffany's.
Do you see what's happening here?
It doesn't have to cost $1 million.
Now, wait a second.
It doesn't. Tiffany has very nice jewelry that's not super duper expensive.
I don't like where this is going.
It comes in this beautiful blue box. I'm telling you, you'll be the king for months and months and months. You get major points if you do Tiffany. If you can't do Tiffany, any jewelry is nice. So that's my helpful Christmas hint for you.
Well, I'm sorry you're not going to join us for any more podcasts.
I'm kicked
on
out
What a
now.
Week. I now have some things I have to
You
do.
talked about shoes, bread, and jewelry.
It's not exactly the direction I was hoping to go,
Goodbye.
but it turned out okay. I thought it was nice. Okay, you can come back next week.
Okay,
We'll
thank
be-
you.
You're very welcome. That's it for this episode of What a Week. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.